Welcome back, my PBM family. Welcome back. We have another episode of Justified or Not. You make the call, you send me the videos. Either I do an assessment or I gather a team. I got a whole contact list of law enforcement, being in a police union, being in several different police agencies, becoming an instructor. So I got a special guest today who's Anthony, who's been a gang investigator. He's held the position of sergeant as well. He worked patrol. He's a detective. He had an extensive record. He traveled to San Antonio, Texas, to do a lot of training about gangs. So, you hear about a lot of gang investigators. This is your guy. So he knows the streets. He's a very smart street cop, and he's from the community. So I asked him to come on and break down some of these videos for me. So with that said, we're going to play this video where a lot of times when an officer doesn't have a charge, and I strongly believe that. I strongly believe you see a lot of these charges when it comes down to officers' feelings getting hurt. I was always told you can't have thick skin. You can't be able to shake something off, or when somebody says something, this is probably not the job for you. So when you have that type of soft skin as a cop, you start creating charges that don't really exist, don't really make sense. It don't fit the violation. And disorderly conduct is one of those charges because it's the officer's perception, and all he got to do is be creative when he actually writes the charge up. I don't like that charge. I have used it. I haven't used it many a times, but I have used it at time here or there because it takes a lot for me to say, you know what, it's enough. It's time for you to go to jail. You kind of interrupting the norms of whatever community you're in, whatever place you're at. So remember, disorderly conduct, right? It's your conduct, right? It's interrupting the environment that you're in. So keep that in mind when you hear cops say disorderly conduct. So let's play this video real quick, and we'll give the assessment shortly.
Yeah. If you don't have business here, you're not going to come up here and harass us.
But you didn't ask me. You didn't ask me that. You didn't ask me I had business.
Just get out. I'm
Okay,
telling
but
you
you
to
come
get
back the off of me too.
Dude, you're not going to curse if I place you go to jail.
Freedom of speech.
You're under arrest. Disorderly conduct.
I'm saying freedom of speech.
Yeah. All right. You got tough on you? All right. Yeah, I said you guys get out.
Oh, now you're telling us to get out.
I'm publicly.
Okay. Videotaping.
I am.
Videotaping right there.
Dude, you're not walking up on me while I'm arresting somebody.
So what you see there, a guy sitting in the waiting room. When a law enforcement official comes out, he says, all right, it's time to leave. I'm not playing these games. It looks like one of those, let's see, maybe kind of a protest. You're trying to test the system, right? And what happens is when you, as the officer, when you don't follow the law, the taxpayers end up paying a lot of money for a guy who's trying to test the law, right? And push buttons, but didn't cross the line. But the officer doesn't hold it down, follow his training, follow the law, follow the Constitution. He's operating off his personal feelings. Whatever the protest is, the officer told him to go ahead and he could leave. He got up. He was leaving. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't making a whole lot of noise. He said something to the officer that the officer got pissed off, and he said, you know what, disorderly conduct. That's not disorderly conduct. It doesn't meet the elements of disorderly conduct. That guy could have been the a-hole previously. He probably dealt with him before, right? But at that particular moment, we have to follow the Constitution. We got to follow the law. That wasn't disorderly conduct. Detective Sergeant, all your experiences, was that a disorderly conduct charge to you?
Not only was that not a disorderly conduct charge, but I didn't even see a crime. He complied. He was told to leave, or if you want to say he was asked to leave. He got up and he was proceeding to walk out the door. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't turn and engage in any type of combative way, and it was just a way overreach on behalf of law enforcement.
So now, when we talk about contempt of charge, have you ever heard of the saying contempt of charge? Is when an officer, right, feelings get hurt, so he tries to create a charge to lock you up, but it didn't meet any other charge. So you pick a charge that it has a lot of wiggle room when it comes down to how you articulate that particular charge. Have you heard of the term contempt of officer?
Yes.
So, but
Yes. Yes.
what is your interpretation of it?
Well, what we saw, I'm trying to describe it because, like I said, you didn't see any crime. Like with disorderly, and I've charged people with disorderly conduct before. You got, like you said, a disruption in the environment. You got loud, verbal, abusive language. You got the throwing of hands. You got almost like someone wanting to engage into a fight, right? And I saw none of those. And when you have that contempt that you're talking about, it's like a free for all. I'm going to just charge you with something and see what, just, it's like a catch-22
Yeah.
type of thing. But now, and law enforcement used to get away with that a lot back in the day. But now with technology, with the cameras, they're not offered the benefit of the doubt. And you clearly saw no crime being committed.
Yeah, I totally agree. And once again, the taxpayers will pay for that officer having soft skin. This is a job where you can't have soft skin, bro. Like, you got to be able to shake it off. I mean, I was good for having comebacks. I mean, it probably wasn't the best thing to say. It probably wasn't the most professional thing to say. But if somebody was really just kind of like really pissing me off, I grew up in a neighborhood where you snapped back, and as far as verbally, like I see a lot of these what they call them, where they go around testing offices, the auditors, right?
Yes.
Come to you and just
Yes.
started like, I believe in holding law enforcement accountable. Everybody should be held accountable to a degree, right? But when it comes down to you just going around picking on officers for no reason, like it doesn't make sense. You got men and women out here doing the job and they're doing it correctly. But the ones that don't, you need to zero in on those. I've seen them just walk up to people and just be assholes. It's like just straight up ass. Like, for what? For what? Like, I've seen a guy, right? And I said he did a pretty good job. He did a better job than me because I would have been snapping back, not physically, because I don't want y'all to take that out of context. I'd have started engaging in a conversation. I'd have been like, well, your job is just to walk around to grown people and just try to agitate them to get. Do you actually have a real job? Like, do you have a real job? I'm not going to give you the payday that you want. You want me to get mad, have soft skin, lock you up, you get an attorney, and then you can sue me and then the police department and write you a check. You might as well save it, bro, because I'm not doing that. Go out, get a real job, and make some real money, and leave police officers alone when we're not even doing anything. By all means, the guys out there doing the bad jobs, then target them. What are you talking? Did you see me beating somebody up in handcuffs? Did you see me stomping somebody up? If I'm literally serving my community like I supposed to, like I signed up to, find something else to do, bro. Like, it's obviously you ain't got nothing else to do. So, move on. I'm quick to say something back. I'm
Mhm.
gonna just make up a charge. I'm not gonna give you what you want, because you got some people that make a living doing this. They just go around messing with cops, and then hopefully that you get somebody with soft skin that just throw a BS charge on you, and then all of a sudden now they record it. Now all of a sudden the taxpayers are paying out dollars. You can't fall for that, bro. But
Yeah.
you guys, I'm about to close it out.
It started out, that order thing, it started out good in the beginning, where it was like cop watch, you remember? And they want to make sure that the police officer was doing the right thing. He wasn't, you stood back in a safe distance and they were properly arrested an individual, not using excessive force.
Right.
And then it got to the point where the officers were just out trying to bait officers into doing just unlawful stuff to, you know, false arrest, and they're looking for lawsuits. And
Right.
like you said, you have to have thick skin doing this job. You can't pay that stuff no mind. They're out there trying to trap you. Don't fall for it. And if you know what, there's no crime against being disrespectful to law enforcement.
Right.
And you just got to just shrug it off and just do your job and be the professional that you are.
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you guys. That's another episode of Police Brutality Matter Old School Cops. I'll see you next week. Keep sending those videos. Peace.